Welcome to the January 15th, 2025 regular meeting of Plymouth Township Council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Our first order of business will be the swearing in of two new officers, Nicholas Crawford and Anthony Agudo, and we have our District Justice, Jody Griffiths, here to do that. Thank you. Officer Nicholas Crawford, please come forward. And afterward, if you'd like pictures with your family, we absolutely do that.
Judge, I'm sorry. Could you get closer to the microphone?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm awfully loud, but here, come on, George. Do you want Mom? You want to hold the Bible for him? All right, raise your right hand. Turn on the Bible. Okay, repeat after me. I, Nicholas Crawford,
I, Nicholas Crawford,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will enforce the laws
and I will enforce the laws
of this Commonwealth
of this Commonwealth
and the ordinances of Plymouth Township,
and the ordinances of Plymouth Township.
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
I do further swear or affirm
I do further swear and affirm
that I will uphold,
that I will uphold,
obey, and enforce
obey, and enforce
the law
the law
without consideration
without consideration
to a person's race,
to a person's race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin,
national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap,
handicap,
or disability.
disability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Would you like?
Madam Chairman, if I might?
Yes, sir.
It's customary when a candidate's parent is a sworn police officer, retired police officer, that they have the opportunity to present them with their badge. If that's okay, I'd like to call up Nick's father, Sergeant James Crawford, who's a veteran police officer in Montgomery County, and a sergeant.
Present with your badge, Ron. Wear it with honor. Okay? Every day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll do the two of them together. Don't leave yet. We're going to take a photo after we swear in our next officer, Anthony Agudo. Are you here, sir? There you are.
Do you want somebody up with you to hold the Bible?
Sure, my wife's going to come with my son. Maybe not my son.
Please listen to it. And hold the Bible. Raise your right hand, put your left hand on the Bible, and repeat after me. I, Anthony Agudo,
I, Anthony Agudo,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will enforce the laws
and that I will enforce the laws
of this Commonwealth
of this Commonwealth
and the ordinances of Plymouth Township,
and the ordinances of Plymouth Township,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
I do further swear
I do further swear
that I will uphold, obey, and enforce
that I will uphold, obey, and enforce
the law without consideration
the law without consideration
to a person's race,
to a person's race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin,
national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap, or disability.
handicap, or disability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. you.
Absolutely, Chief.
Congratulations. Thank you. Wear it with pride. Thank you.
Okay, and if you would, Officers Crawford and Agudo, if you would come back up so that council can welcome and congratulate you. Next on the agenda, we have some special remarks by Chief Misiades.
Thank you. Thank you, Council. Tonight, we welcome home Detective Eric Ponzak, as he recently returned from a combat deployment with the Pennsylvania Army National Guard to the Horn of Africa. Detective Ponzak, a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army, is the current commander of the 2nd and 112 Stryker Infantry Battalion. Detective Ponzak commands 1,100 guardsmen that were mobilized to active duty service in the African nations of Somalia, Kenya, and Djibouti. Responsible for crisis response and force protection, his unit facilitated the United States of America's ability to project power and stability in a contested part of the world. Detective Ponzak's recent military activation to Africa spanned 16 months. Previously, he served a combat tour in Iraq in 2008, as well as having been deployed to assist the victims of Hurricane Katrina. Oftentimes overlooked in our tributes to our returning soldiers are the sacrifices endured by the families at home left worrying for their loved ones' return. We thank the Ponzak family for supporting Eric's mission to both safeguard our nation and the Plymouth Township community. On behalf of our Plymouth Township family, please accept our everlasting gratitude for your ongoing service to both your country and community. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and welcome back, Detective. Next, we have commendations to be read by Ms. Vicio.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. I am honored to share this commendation for bravery. Whereas on November 2nd, 2024, at 1:39 p.m., Plymouth Township police officers responded to multiple reports of a female pointing a gun at both customers and staff inside the Guitar Center located at 2620 Chemical Road in Plymouth Township. And whereas Plymouth Township Police Sergeant Andrew Adams and Officer Benjamin Bruner arrived and encountered an armed assailant exiting the store who was making threats of violence while repeatedly pointing a loaded firearm at both officers. And whereas Sergeant Adams and Officer Bruner overcame the lethal threat by utilizing restraint, verbal commands, de-escalation techniques, and tactical teamwork. And whereas the suspect was taken into custody without injury to her, the community, or to the officers involved. And whereas Sergeant Adams and Officer Bruner placed themselves directly in the line of fire from an armed assailant in order to protect the citizens of Plymouth Township. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Plymouth Township officers, specifically Sergeant Andrew Adams and Officer Benjamin Bruner, utilized communications, restraint, de-escalation, and tactical teamwork to safely apprehend an armed and dangerous assailant, threatening both the community and officers. Be it further resolved that this commendation for bravery be entered onto the official minutes of Plymouth Township, and that a copy of this commendation be publicly tendered to Sergeant Andrew Adams and Officer Benjamin Bruner. Adopted this 13th day of January 2025, Plymouth Township Council, Karen R. Bramblett, Chair. I would make a motion that we adopt this commendation for bravery.
We have a motion by Ms. Vizio. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Whitney. Take roll call vote. Mr. Nelson.
In favor.
Ms. Leonard.
In favor.
Mr. Whitney.
In favor.
Ms. Vizio.
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Next by Ms. Leonard, I'm sorry. We do have an actual commendation.
We have a plaque that we would like to present.
I'll agree with that.
And tonight, we also have a unit citation that will be presented by Ms. Leonard.
Whereas on November 2nd, 2024, at 1:39 p.m., Plymouth Township police officers responded to multiple reports of a female pointing a gun at both customers and staff inside the Guitar Center located at 2620 Chemical Road in Plymouth Township. Whereas Plymouth Township police responded and encountered an armed assailant exiting the store who was making threats of violence while repeatedly pointing a loaded firearm at multiple officers. And whereas Plymouth Township police officers overcame the lethal threat by utilizing restraint, verbal commands, de-escalation techniques, and tactical teamwork. And whereas through coordinated effort, the suspect was taken into custody without injury to her, the community, or the officers involved. And whereas Plymouth Township police officers placed themselves between an armed assailant and the public in order to protect the citizens of Plymouth Township at a busy shopping complex. Now therefore, be it resolved that Plymouth Township officers, specifically Officer Jonathan Marinelli, Officer Zachary Amato, Officer Owen Kehoe, Officer Megan Wazinski, and Dispatcher Karen Bowman utilized restraint, de-escalation techniques, communications, and tactical teamwork to safely apprehend an armed and dangerous assailant threatening both the community and the officers. Be it further resolved that this unit citation be entered on the official minutes of Plymouth Township, and that a copy of this commendation be publicly tendered to each officer and the dispatcher involved. Adopted this 13th day of January 2025, Plymouth Township Council, Karen Bramblett, Chair. I make a motion to adopt this unit citation.
We have a motion by Ms. Leonard. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Vizio. We'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Nelson.
In favor.
Ms. Leonard.
In favor.
Ms. Vizio.
In favor.
Mr. Whitney.
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Can we have the mentioned individuals, officers, coming forward? We do have a few other resolutions coming up, but if there's anyone who needs to or wants to leave, now we have 30 years of service resolutions coming up for Ms. Christine Pelusi and Township Manager Karen Weiss, but if anyone needs to leave now, I don't want to hold you back. Is there any public comment on the agenda itself tonight? All right, hearing none, we have a 30 years of service resolution to be read by Mr. Nelson.
Yes. Whereas Christine Pelusi has served the Plymouth Township Administration and Police Departments faithfully since January 3rd, 1995, and has therefore completed 30 years of service, and whereas Plymouth Township Council desires to formally recognize the diligent and valuable service rendered by Christine Pelusi and publicly express its appreciation, now therefore be it resolved that Christine Pelusi is congratulated for completion of 30 years of service within the Plymouth Township Administration and Police Departments, and be it further resolved that this resolution be entered in the official minutes of Plymouth Township, and that a copy of this resolution be publicly tendered to Christine Pelusi. Adopted this 13th day of January, 2025 by Plymouth Township Council, Karen R. Bramblett, Chair. I would like to make a motion to adopt this resolution.
Motion by Mr. Nelson, is there a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Vicio. Take a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Congratulations, Christine.
Christine couldn't make it, but she's very grateful, and I'll be happy to accept her resolution on her behalf. Thank you.
Okay, and now, the moment we've all been anticipating but dreading, a 30-year service resolution. Whereas Karen B. Weiss has served the Plymouth Township Zoning, Code Enforcement, and Manager's Offices faithfully since January 3rd, 1995, and has therefore completed 30 years of service. And whereas Plymouth Township Council desires to formally recognize the diligent and valuable service rendered by Karen B. Weiss and publicly express its appreciation. Now therefore be it resolved that Karen B. Weiss is congratulated for completion of 30 years of service with the Plymouth Township Zoning, Code Enforcement, and Manager's Offices. And be it further resolved that this resolution be entered in the official minutes of Plymouth Township, and that a copy of this resolution be publicly tendered to Karen B. Weiss, adopted this 13th day of January, 2025, by Plymouth Township Council, Karen Bramblett, Chair. I make a motion that we adopt this resolution. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Vicio. We are going to take comments, but I'm going to do the roll call vote first, if that's okay. Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard,
In favor.
Ms. Vizio,
In favor.
Mr. Whitney,
In favor.
and the chair votes in favor. Congratulations, Karen. But before we present the resolution, we have something else for Karen's last public meeting and her last month as township manager. First of all, I would like everybody to know that Karen Weiss is a lifelong resident of Montgomery County, living in Plymouth and White Marsh Townships, that in being employed by Plymouth Township since 1995, she has served as a zoning officer, the director of code enforcement, the assistant township manager, and beginning in 2003, she was appointed township manager. Prior to serving the township, she was employed at Sperry Univac, Sperry Corporation, and Unisys in the International Accounting and Financial Analysis departments. She has a Bachelor's of Science degree from St. Joe's University and a Master's in Business Administration from LaSalle University. She is a board member of the Waste System Authority of Eastern Montgomery County, an executive board member of the Delaware Valley Insurance Trust, a current member and past president of the Montgomery County Consortium of Communities. She has been in the Association for Pennsylvania Municipal Management, and she serves as a member on our Emergency Services Board. We also have, from each department head, some parting comments that will be read by the members of council. And we will begin with Ms. Vizio.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. I have two different comments from different department heads I'd like to share. First, having had the pleasure of working closely with Karen the past 16 years as both Deputy Police Chief and Chief, I value her openness, admire her calming presence, and treasure her kindness. Further prized than any professional achievements, my recollections of Karen center around her compassion for our residents, her partnership with emergency service contributors, and her dedication to responsible leadership. Karen has devoted 3 decades of service to Plymouth Township, and her departure will be felt by all those who have come to reflect on the wonders of our community as synonymous with her name. Thank you for your commitment to excellence, Karen, and enjoy the rewards of a new chapter well deserved. I have a second comment as well. Karen, as zoning officer, was instrumental in the construction of the Greater Plymouth Community Center. Her diplomacy ensured the building was constructed safely and followed township regulations. In 2012, Karen was a key participant in the expansion of the fitness center and the creation of the Service and Devotion Monument. The vision of Harriet Wetherill Park came to be with Karen's leadership. This included obtaining the homestead and implementing multiple grants to improve the park for the public's enjoyment. We appreciate Karen's leadership during challenging times, her willingness to listen to all sides of a story, and her compassionate approach to leadership. Karen is the consummate professional and sets an example for all employees.
Thank you, Ms. Vizio. Sure, go ahead. And if you have any comments of your own you'd like to add, please do so. Thank you.
So I would just like to also share a few comments about Karen. Karen has shown a tremendous level of dedication and loyalty to her role, to the township. She's been a tremendous advocate for the township. I mean, it's a type of dedication and loyalty that we don't often see these days. And she is truly one of the most responsive people with whom I have ever engaged in any workplace at any time in my 30 years of work. Sending her a text or an email is kind of like throwing a boomerang, because you better be ready. Like, if you send her something, it doesn't matter if it's nighttime, weekends, holidays, the response is coming right back to you. And not just any response, but always a really helpful, really thorough response. She's also incredibly financially responsible. She always treats township dollars with the same level of respect and prudency as she would if they were her own, and she challenges everyone to think and do the same. She cares about people, township employees and residents. Her decisions always take into account the impact to residents and the impact to the employees who she knows so faithfully serve the township. And Karen is an absolute encyclopedia of knowledge about Plymouth Township. There's literally no question about Plymouth that she can't answer, usually off the top of her head. And if she doesn't know the answer, she knows exactly where to find it. So if you ever find yourself playing a game of Plymouth trivia with your family and friends, you want to get her on your team, for sure. I just want to say, Karen, thank you for your service to the township, for your loyalty, your dedication, your wisdom, and your wonderful partnership with council. You'll be missed.
Thank you, Ms. Vicio. Mr. Whitney, would you read some comments from our department heads, please?
Absolutely. All right, first up, Karen has been a truly great boss to work for. She's always had great trust in her employees and allows them to perform their duties on their own with little to no intrusion. She listens to and takes into consideration all their thoughts and ideas. She has incredible leadership and mentorship skills that will make a lasting impact on the Plymouth Township team, especially with the younger employees. Her positive attitude keeps employees' spirits up, even if situations are gloomy. Most importantly, she truly cares about her employees. She knows more about the employee than just who they are or what they do at work. Plymouth has been lucky to have someone like Karen for as long as we have. Second comment, one memory that will always stand out to me is when my mother passed away. Karen drove through a snowstorm to my hometown of Emmaus to pay her respects and offer heartfelt condolences for my mother. This act of kindness meant the world to me. Throughout our time working together, Karen and I have partnered on countless projects. One of the latest and most impactful was the Microsoft 365 project that she greenlit, resulting in improved email and data storage security for the township. Karen's dedication and support have made a significant difference in my professional life.
Thank you, Mr. Whitney. Do you have any other comments to add?
Lynn pretty much hit it all on the head. Except maybe the mentorship skills, at least for me, being on the younger side and compared to everybody else up here, sorry. But to really have an idea of what municipal government is and how that collaboration works to really keep a township as successful and wonderful as Plymouth up and running, especially for as long as you have, are a lot of skills that I will take with me for a long time.
Thank you, Mr. Whitney. We have some comments from other department heads to be read by Ms. Leonard.
I have two comments here. First, Karen is a remarkable faith-based leader who leads from the heart, a listener, a mentor. She is always available for a question and an answer, as she has an unmatched wealth of knowledge of the township, its history, and geography. When a decision is made, it's with the intentions of what is best for Plymouth Township. Karen is and always will be recognized as a pillar in municipal management, a true, dedicated public servant. And the next comment, I have had the pleasure to work for Karen for 25 years, 18 of them as the Director of Public Works. She is one of the smartest people I have ever known. I have never met anyone who was as committed to excellence in her work while always striving to be the best steward of the township. Karen was always the last employee to leave every day. What a role model. She practiced what she preached. Karen is a woman of action. Her institutional knowledge of this township will never be matched. More importantly, she genuinely cares about people, especially her work family. Karen always made herself available to her employees and residents. Karen has always had a solution to every problem. Her biggest strength was that she believed in her employees. She allowed us to grow and learn. As a result, people worked harder. Karen's influence made everyone around her better, not only as an employee, but as a person. I am forever indebted to Karen for being my biggest advocate when I was hired as the Director of Public Works. Still, to this day, she brings out the best in people. I will be forever grateful and will always continue to pay back the faith that you and the township invested in me. Happy retirement.
Do you have any words you'd like to add, Ms. Leonard?
I mean, I haven't known you as long as everyone else, but I agree you are an encyclopedia of Plymouth Township. You literally have an answer to every question I have. And I agree, you are someone that clearly practices what you preach, and you would do the lowest job up to the highest job. And I have a lot of respect for that, and I strive to manage my own bank account the way that you manage the finances of Plymouth Township. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. And Mr. Nelson has some comments from department heads that he would like to read.
Yes, I have 2 comments, and here's the first. I've had the honor and privilege to work with Karen Weiss for many years. One thing that always stood out to me is her sincere care for every single employee and the residents of Plymouth Township. Karen has been a terrific boss, great manager, but most of all, a great person. Best wishes for a much-enjoyed retirement. And here's the second. I started full-time in August 2014, and it has been great having Karen as my boss. She is a very good mentor and allowed us to do our jobs. She allowed me to take the initiative to start digitizing the archived plans in the basement and reorganize all of the archived permits by address instead of by year, making it easier to find. Since then, we have digitized all of the ordinances and resolutions, and we are now in the process of doing the minutes. These digital steps have made finding items for right to know go a lot easier. And as the caboose here, I think I'm going to have trouble coming up with something original to say, but I would like to hammer home on just how valuable a resource you've been to me, you know, in my first year doing this, being in this position. And I don't think there's anything that could have made you a better person or a more compassionate leader. So thank you.
And I would just like to add, well, there's really nothing to add. Everybody has said it, except I guess I've been able to have the honor of working with Karen the longest up here. And I'll just remember what our solicitor, Michael Clark, told me when I first came on, and that was, you have a great township manager, and I just hope you never have to try to replace her. I know we've done a good job, Matt, I'm sorry. We don't want you to feel, we don't want you leaving, please. But it has been an absolute pleasure. I am so sorry to see you go, but I know you will enjoy every moment of your retirement. We have a surprise for you, but before we do that, we would like to ask, well, you're going to get your turn, Karen. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to have anything to say about Karen? I just want to open it up to the public.
A little gift.
Hi, Chris Monero, Plymouth Township. I had the pleasure of serving as the chair of council and on council for 8 years and working with Karen. And it's a very unique relationship between a council and a manager. It's a very unique structure of government. I just say it requires a lot of mutual trust between the elected officials and between the township manager, who's here on a day-to-day basis. I don't know if everybody completely understands that members of council have other jobs and other careers, and they show up and vote on things a couple times a month, but the township manager is here on that day-to-day basis. And I thought in my experience here, I could not have imagined working for a township manager better than Karen. And there's a lot of really good things have been said, but we should roast Karen a little bit. I mean, it is, you know. But my favorite memory of Karen is particularly serving as chair, that there were these certain moments when things would come up or we'd be close to making a decision, and I would kind of glance over at Karen, and there was this look that every once in a while she would have, like this kind of like, you know, like she knew that might not work or that's come up before, and it was always just kind of like that reassurance. I can just kind of glance down the end of the table and see how Karen's going to react before we make that decision. But your time here has been well served. Your leadership among all the department heads has obviously been very clear, but your stewardship of the township as a whole, and it was mentioned that you're not just somebody that works here, you live here, and I think you take a tremendous amount of pride in what you do and what you've done and how it affects not only everybody who lives here, but those who came before them and those who will come after them as well. So thank you so much for everything, Karen. Good luck, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Monero. Yes, come forward, please. Just tell us your name so that the person who types the minutes will get
Can I
it.
just talk from here?
Well, I think if you, are you able to make it up here? I'm sorry. If you can,
Oh, I think so.
because we have a microphone.
Of course.
Thank you.
Very briefly, my name is Janet DeCenzo. I am a very proud member of Epiphany Church. I have known Karen. I have served with Karen at Epiphany. I am proud to call her my friend. And there is nothing that Karen would not do for other people. And I have to say that she is the epitome of a public servant, and I'm so happy to call her my friend. I wanted to thank her and all of the council members for making Plymouth Township a great place to live and work. I've been here for 32 years, and I hope for a few more. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Janice. Is there anybody else? Okay, I know that I can't add anything to what everyone has said. I just know that Karen Weiss has demonstrated professionalism to every person she's ever spoken to on the telephone. And it's true, you can always reach her, even if she's stranded in Florida with a hurricane. She is reachable and responsive, and truly an encyclopedia. You can't name a street or address that Karen will tell you all the families who ever lived there. So, pretty much. All right. Karen, I know you want to say a few words, and then we have something for you.
So, good evening, and thank you for all those kind words. You're just too kind. We often hear, as we did a few moments ago, about the finest police force any municipality could hope for. Our police department receives more calls for service than surrounding municipalities due to our geographic location and number of retail businesses. Our officers are courageous and dedicated to the safety and well-being of everyone they come in contact with, and we are extremely thankful for their service to our community. We also hear accolades for our Public Works Department, which is second to none. Our Sanitation Bureau works tirelessly to collect trash, recycling, and yard waste every week, and they plow snow whenever needed. Our Highway Bureau keeps our streets well-maintained with sweeping, signage, and repairs. They collect leaves, process mulch, and perform snow and ice removal. Our state inspection certified mechanics do an excellent job of maintaining and repairing a large fleet of trucks, cars, motorcycles, and trailers. The employees in this department often work in extreme heat and cold, wind and rain, and consistently go above and beyond for our residents. We are all grateful for their excellent work. We also recognize our award-winning Parks and Recreation Department, which has more programming than any municipality around. The Greater Plymouth Community Center is the jewel of our township and the envy of all. The employees in this department help make Plymouth a great place in which to live and build community, and we are thankful for their dedication. I am very proud of the employees in these three departments, and their recognition is always well-deserved. But tonight, in addition, I want to publicly acknowledge and express my appreciation for the rest of our all-star team, because each of them is also essential to Plymouth Township. These are the employees who work mostly behind the scenes. We don't hear about these people too often. The Fire Marshal's Office and the Code Enforcement Department have a tough and often unpopular job of ensuring that building, zoning, and fire safety codes are followed. Last year, they issued over 1,500 building permits, handled 107 complaints, removed 686 signs from rights-of-way, and inspected over 1,700 rental properties. The work this department performs saves lives, and our community is safer for their diligence. The Buildings and Grounds Department maintains our parklands and all township facilities. They handle mowing, turf management, and trash removal from our parks. They clear snow and spread salt at township facilities, as well as the fire stations and ambulance building. They perform all maintenance, repair, and housekeeping for our buildings, and they too respond to emergencies 24/7. This department keeps our facilities and community spaces beautiful and functional, and we are so grateful for their commitment. The IT department keeps everything connected on 60 servers, 139 computers, 129 telephones, 55 cell phones, 147 security cameras, and dozens of printers, copiers, scanners, AV equipment, switches, and routers. This department also responds to emergencies 24/7 and continues working until the problem is solved. In 2025, I think we can all agree that not one township employee could do their job without the support of this department, and we are very thankful for their dedication and expertise. Our Human Resources Department is a department of one. Rebecca handles all interviewing, onboarding, offboarding, benefits administration, leaves of absence, workers' comp claims, and employee issues for 125 full-time employees and countless part-time and seasonal employees. We are so appreciative for her assistance and professionalism. The Finance Department is responsible for keeping track of all township receipts and expenses. They handle accounts payable, accounts receivable, sewer billings, and most importantly, payroll. Without payroll, there would be no employees. This department also includes the main reception for administration. We are so grateful for the hard work of this essential team. My assistant, Linda, has been invaluable to me and to our administration. She keeps me and the council well organized by preparing agendas, takes care of required advertising, makes sure that our meeting agendas are posted, and keeps the official records of the township, the ordinances, the resolutions, the minutes, and the countless files. She keeps them all straight. We are so thankful for her ability to keep everything running smoothly and her commitment to Plymouth Township. As you can see, each and every employee is vital to the operation of Plymouth Township in service to our residents. I'm specifically proud that many employees spend decades working here. It's a great place to work. I'd like to thank also our township solicitor and our township engineer and all of our consultants. And most of all, I would like to thank the Plymouth Township Council, the 5 of you sitting here tonight, and the other 17 previous council members who allowed me the opportunity to be the 4th Plymouth Township manager. It has been a privilege and an honor. Thank you very much.
This is unbelievable.
What did you hide under there?
So, Karen, in recognition of your 30 years of service, unmatched, we as council have decided that we are renaming the meeting room in your honor, the Karen B. Weiss Meeting Room, with gratitude for 30 years of service, 1995 to 2025. Keeping this a secret was not easy. And it is heavy, but it will be mounted outside. There's no way we could do it ahead of this meeting. You are everywhere all the time. So, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I am speechless after the last 10 minutes.
So we'll present you with your resolution, and you don't have to carry this.
Yes, thank you.
I think I need to go to the community center and work out a little more.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow, thanks, John. Oh. This is my guy. Where's he going?
They wouldn't be quite so heavy. Huh? Yeah. It is heavy, isn't it? The problem was getting it off the floor, because to get your fingers under it, yeah, it was getting under the pipe. Yeah, it's not that bad to carry, but we had to keep it hidden. Huh? No, she had no clue. We really kept it tight. The only people who knew were Rebecca from HR, her assistant Linda. They were able to get this permit without yeah, and it was kept hidden under here, and I just couldn't get my but he had to hide it. He couldn't mount it in advance. I don't know. Who is that? Yes. I don't have it in everybody's email, so do you mind sending it out? Okay. Okay. All right, thank you. She was surprised. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Janice. We have a whole agenda to go through, but I want Karen to have her time with her family. You said you'd be here. Thank you. She was at Greg's swearing in. I told her about coming tonight.
Thomas.
won't even talk to me. I'll get him in contact.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And I just want to thank all the township people who helped make tonight possible. Thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate it. That was heavy, Rick. Hey, I think the people who needed to leave have left, and glad we were able to pull a surprise off here. Next on the agenda, announcements. Council held an executive session on December 2nd, 2024. I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the workshop meeting held December 2nd, 2024, and the regular meeting held December 9th, 2024. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Whitney. Any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
Mr. Nelson?
Favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Can I have a motion to approve the departmental reports and bills?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Whitney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nelson. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Right, next by our township solicitor, by Mr. Nelson, we have our liquid fuels resolution.
Bear with me, this is kind of lengthy. I'll try not to speak in monotone. So we have a resolution. Whereas Plymouth Township receives an allocation of liquid fuel taxes from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, and whereas Act Number 114 of 1998, 2, as amended by Act Number 2004-138, establishes the authorized expenditures of liquid fuel taxes by municipalities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Plymouth Township Council does hereby authorize the expenditure of the township allocation of liquid fuel taxes from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation as follows. To be expended by the authorities of the respective municipalities, 1, for the maintenance, repair, construction, or reconstruction of such public roads or streets, including bridges, culverts, and drainage structures for which they are legally responsible, and including the lining of streams incidental to the drainage of highways, and for the maintenance, repair, construction, or reconstruction of curb ramps from a road, street, or highway to provide for access by individuals with disabilities consistent with federal and state law. 2, for the acquisition, maintenance, repair, and operation of street signs, traffic signs, and traffic signal control systems. 3, for the maintenance, repair, construction, or reconstruction of alleys, ways, and courts for which they are legally responsible. Where road, bridge, alley, way, or court work is performed by the political subdivision, the monies herein allocated may be used only for labor, hiring of equipment, payrolls, purchase of material, including repair parts necessary for the maintenance of equipment, small tools, road drags, and snow fences, and, in addition, an amount not to exceed 20% of the total annual allocation received by each municipality may be used for the purchase of road machinery and road equipment. And 4, for the acquisition of computer-related hardware, software, and training required for the electronic processing of information concerning the funds appropriated and allocated under this act, including the preparation and electronic submission of the required annual reports for payment certification, provided that expenditures under this subclause may not exceed $1,000 annually, duly presented and adopted by Plymouth Township Council at a public meeting held on the 13th day of January 2025 by Karen R. Bramblett, Chair. I would make a motion to adopt this resolution.
Motion by Mr. Nelson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Whitney. Any questions or comments from council or from the public? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Nelson.
In favor.
Mr. Whitney.
In favor.
Ms. Vizio. Ms. Leonard.
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Okay, next, we have a bank signature card resolution by our solicitor, Mr. Glassman.
Yes, with Karen retiring and Matt becoming manager in the future, we have a resolution titled Governmental Entity Certificate of Resolution with TD Bank, and I'm going to read the pertinent paragraph. Resolved that the financial institution named above, being TD Bank, at any one of, or more of its offices or branches, be and is hereby is designated as financial institution and depository for the funds of this governmental entity, which may be withdrawn on checks, draft, advice of debt, notes, or other orders for the payment of monies bearing the signature of, or as otherwise authorized by any one of the following officers, employees, or agent of this governmental entity agents whose actual signature are shown below. And within the signature block, Matt West's name has been added. So this is a standard form resolution, and all else is in order, allowing Matt to be a signature for the TD Bank account.
Thank you, Mr. Glassman. Is there a motion to adopt the signature card resolution?
So moved.
So moved. Motion by Ms. Vizio, second by Mr. Nelson. Any questions or comments from council or the audience? All right, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Ms. Vizio.
In favor.
Mr. Nelson.
In favor.
Ms. Leonard.
In favor.
Mr. Whitney.
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. All right, we have a few tax stipulations. Will be read by our solicitor.
Yes, the first stipulation that we have is a property at 1 Innovation Drive in the township being taxed parcel number 49-00-04509-03-2. This appeal was filed for tax year 2024, and this agreement was negotiated between the school district and the property owner. And effective January 1st, 2024, for county and township tax purposes, the assessment of the subject property shall be reduced from $11,360,000 to $4,956,690. And as a result of the adjustment to the assessment on the subject property, there's been an overpayment in taxes to Plymouth Township for tax year 2024 in the amount of $17,878.04. All other aspects of the stipulation is in order.
Thank you, Mr. Glassman. Is there a motion to adopt the stipulation to settle the tax?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Whitney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nelson. Any questions or comments from council or from the audience? We'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Nelson.
In favor.
Ms. Leonard.
In favor.
Mr. Whitney.
In favor.
Ms. Vizio.
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. All right, we have another stipulation to settle.
Yes, this is a stipulation with Plymouth Ground Associates LP, the current owner of the property at 500 West Germantown Pike in the township, being parcel number 49-00-04120-00-7. At the time of the appeal to the Board of Assessment Appeals, the assessment on the subject property was $18,760,000. And for county and township tax purposes, for the time period of January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, the assessment on the property shall be reduced from $18,760,000 to $15,444,000. For the time period of January 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2024, the assessment on the subject property shall be reduced from $18,760,000 to $14,377,500. The time period of April 1st, 2024 through December 1st, 2024, the assessment of the subject property shall be reduced from $19,156,890 to $14,377,500. Excuse me. For the time period of January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025, the assessment on the subject property shall be reduced from $19,156,890 to $13,625,000. And as a result of the adjustments to the subject property for the last 2 tax years, there's been an overpayment in taxes to Plymouth Township for tax years 2023 and 2024 in the total amount of $21,754.95. All other aspects of this agreement are in order.
Mr. Glassman, is there a motion to adopt this stipulation to settle?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Whitney, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nelson. Any questions or comments from council or from the audience? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. All right, is there anything else under administration? Thank you. All right, next, under police and public safety, we have a stop sign ordinance that will be read by our solicitor.
Yes, this is an ordinance amending Chapter 13, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Stopping, Standing, and Parking of the Plymouth Township Code, ordinance number 1005, as amended by establishing a multi-way stop on Virginia Road at its intersection with Reynolds Road. And I'm going to read Section 1 from the ordinance, which ordinance number 1005, as amended, is hereby amended by adding thereto the following stop intersection. 1, Virginia Road at its intersection with Reynolds Road is hereby designated as a stop intersection, and official stop signs shall be erected as follows. Facing traffic approaching Reynolds Road on eastbound Virginia Road, and facing traffic approaching Reynolds Road on westbound Virginia Road. Ordained and enacted by the Council of Plymouth Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, this 13th day of January, 2025.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the stop sign ordinance at Virginia and Reynolds Roads?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Vizio. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Whitney. And this stop sign is the only intersection remaining that doesn't have a stop sign along Virginia Road, and it is a school bus stop. And that was figured into the decision to put in a stop sign ordinance after having been reviewed by our police department. Any other comments from council or from the audience? Hearing none, we will take a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. We have another resolution for Harmonville Fire Company that will be read by Mr. Glassman.
Be it resolved that the Plymouth Township Council does hereby waive the land development approval requirements of the Plymouth Township Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance of 1980, Saldo, for the construction of a new fire substation located at 904 Germantown Pike, being Montgomery County Tax Parcel Number 49-00-04060-50-8, the property, subject to the following conditions. 1, that the owner/developer shall prepare and submit an overall site plan and provide it to council for review by the township engineer, and the owner/developer shall prepare revisions as needed to comply with the requirements and comments of the township engineer to the satisfaction and approval of the said township engineer. 2, that the applicant shall prepare revisions to the plans to list all waivers granted by council, if any are granted. 3, that the owner/developer shall record the plans with the Recorder of Deeds Office for Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. 4, that the owner/developer shall pay all applicable fees and assessments, including but not limited to sewer connection fees in accordance with the connection fee and EDU schedule in effect at the time of the application for connection and payment. 5, prior to the issuance of any permits, all outstanding legal, engineering, and administrative fees applicable to this development must be paid by the owner/developer. 6, this approval is subject to the fulfillment of all the foregoing conditions in their entirety, and no permit shall be issued, nor shall any development take place on the property unless and until all such conditions are fulfilled. Duly presented and adopted by the Plymouth Township Council, a public meeting held on this 13th day of January, 2025.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the land development waiver resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Nelson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Whitney. Any comments or questions from council? From the audience? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Nelson?
In favor.
Ms. Leonard?
In favor.
Ms. Vizio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Is there anything else under police, chief?
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, under Public Works, we are reading the snow announcement, which we do during winter. Winter season reminders. It is unlawful to park or abandon a car on any street within 12 hours after a snowfall of 3 inches or more. Vehicles will be towed at the owner's expense. Use off-street parking when snow is predicted. When you park your car in the driveway, there's less snow to shovel. On-street parking, only where no off-street parking is available, is only permitted on the even-numbered side of the street in even years and on the odd-numbered side of the street in odd years, and we have now entered the odd year of 2025, so only parking allowed on the odd-numbered side. Never approach moving snow removal equipment. Just because you can see the driver doesn't mean he can see you. We try to keep our crews fresh and rested, but extended weather emergencies can mean long hours for township employees. Please keep your children and pets off the streets. Property owners are required to clear their sidewalks of at least 30 inches wide within 36 hours after the snow stops. When shoveling your driveway, pile the snow to the right. This will prevent the plow from covering your driveway opening again. Do not shovel or plow snow into the street. The plows will just move it back onto your driveway or sidewalk. If the plow has already passed, do not put snow from your driveway into the street. It will refreeze and create a hazard. If there's a fire hydrant by your home, consider adopting it. You know where it is. If it's obscured by snow, fire companies responding to emergencies may not find it. Clearing the snow from the hydrant helps to protect you and your neighbors. Is there anything from engineering tonight?
There's nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lanai. Have any subdivision and land development action items for tonight? Correct, so we will move on to zoning by Ms. Vizio.
Thank you. Just an announcement, the zoning hearing board will meet once this month at the Township Building in the auditorium. The date for this meeting is Monday, January 20th, beginning at 7 p.m. This is related to a property at 105 Lee Drive. It is a use variance and parking variance and is the continuation of a hearing that's already been underway.
Thank you. Next, our Parks and Recreation update by Mr. Whitney.
All right. Some program spotlights from the community center. Summer camp resident registration already happening. That begins on January 14th. Boxing conditioning class begins on January 15th. The Sweetheart Dance will be February 7th. Family Bingo will be Friday, January 24th and March 21st. Senior Bingo will be on Monday, January 27th, February 24th, and March 31st. Premium Circuit Training class begins February 13th. Inflatable Float Night in the pool will be Friday, February 14th. Black Heritage Day will be Saturday, February 22nd. Greater Plymouth Community Center 10% off annual passes will be March 22nd through March 29th. And the Greater Plymouth Community Center 25th anniversary celebration will be Saturday, March 29th. Details available in the brochure, app, website, social media, or calling 610-277-4312.
Thank you. Citizen Board vacancy announcements and appointments by Ms. Leonard.
All residents wishing to serve on these citizens' boards are asked to submit their resume or a letter stating their interest to the township manager at 700 Belvoir Road, Plymouth Meeting, PA, 19462, or via email at kweiss@plymouthtownship.org. The following citizen board positions are currently open. Property Maintenance Code Appeals Board, 3 positions open. 2, Human Relations Commission, 1 position open. And then Environmental Advisory Board, 1 position open. And then the citizen board appointments. First, for the planning agency. We have the appointment of Neil Clark. So I make a motion to appoint Neil Clark to the planning agency.
We have a motion by Ms. Leonard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Vizio. Any questions or comments from council or the audience? Take a roll call vote. Ms. Leonard.
In favor.
Ms. Vizio.
In favor.
Mr. Whitney.
In favor.
Mr. Nelson.
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Okay, Ms. Leonard, next appointment.
Again, for the planning agency, I make a motion to appoint Brian Rennison.
Motion by Ms. Leonard to appoint Brian Rennison. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nelson. Any questions or comments from council? From the audience? We'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Nelson.
In favor.
Ms. Leonard.
In favor.
Ms. Vizio.
In favor.
Mr. Whitney.
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Appointment.
Our last appointment is for Parks, Recreation, and Shade Tree Advisory Board. I make a motion to appoint Monica Salvia.
Motion by Ms. Leonard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Whitney. Any questions or comments from council or the public? We will take a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney.
In favor.
Ms. Vizio.
In favor.
Mr. Nelson.
In favor.
Ms. Leonard.
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Next item on our agenda will be the Cunnytown update, read by Ms. Vizio.
Chair. So as we have committed to do on a monthly basis, we have some updates on projects in the Cunnytown area. First, an update on the crosswalk project. So there was some follow-up between the township and Carroll Engineering with PennDOT. And the good news is there were 15 conditions that had to be met for the highway occupancy permit, and all of the 15 conditions have been met. So at this point, the traffic signal permit is the next step. That's something the township submits to PennDOT. That was done, and so now we are waiting for PennDOT's approval on the traffic signal permit. Let's see, next on our list. The guide rail. At this point, we have again followed up very recently with PennDOT on the guide rail project. The project coordinator for PennDOT, the maintenance project coordinator, submitted his recommendation for this guardrail to be installed. He had to submit that to his maintenance manager. So now we are waiting to hear back from him as soon as the decision is made. We don't see any issues with it. We believe that that will move forward, but we are waiting for that final approval. Once that happens, that project is then completely in the hands of PennDOT in terms of, well, first of all, if it happens, which we don't see any issues with that, and also when it happens, and where the actual guardrail is installed. Let's see, next update, speed reduction measures. We know that there has been some discussion and some interest in looking at speed slots on Conshohocken New Elm Street. And at our last meeting, we talked a little bit about the fact that we are exploring and considering these speed slots. And we've had some conversations with Norristown, because I know the question came up, like, what's going on? Have you talked to anyone in Norristown? These speed slots are on DeKalb. How's that going? So we have had a couple of conversations, the most recent one just as of the other day, where Ms. Rice reached out and asked a contact in Norristown sort of what that situation looked like. What was the effectiveness of these speed slots based on sort of their assessment to date? What's the situation with snow removal, with general maintenance? Does it seem to be working? And what we've learned is they believe that the speed slots do raise awareness and get people to moderate their speed on the roads. So far, there have been no significant issues reported, either by residents or by emergency services. As for snow removal, it hasn't been tested quite significantly yet. We haven't gotten a lot of snow, but so far there have not been any significant difficulties with snow clearing around the speed slots. But they're going to continue to monitor, particularly all of it, but particularly that piece through the winter. So we're going to stay in touch, just make sure we really understand what's happening there, and use that to help inform our decisions. The other part of that decision is because there are numerous places around the township, it's not just there, that people have asked for speed bumps, speed humps, speed slots, ways to slow traffic. Just to name a few, Jolly Road, Sheffield Road, Narcissa, lots of places around the township there's been interest in doing this. So we, as a council, have decided that the most appropriate, efficient, fair, reasonable thing to do is to look at this sort of holistically and come up with a set of criteria for if speed slots are requested, these are the criteria that have to be met. So we're in the process of developing that list as we continue to monitor what's happening on DeKalb. So those are simultaneous activities. We will come up with a set of criteria for speed slots, including things like speed and accidents, the kind of roadway it is, some of the issues and needs in each of those spaces. Along those lines, we're also committed to holding a town hall in either March or April so that we can continue to update not just not just part of the Cunnytown update, but update all residents as to what's happening in that space and give residents a chance to share their opinions and weigh in. We know some are in favor of, some have concerns or questions, so we will have a town hall where that can be the topic of discussion. Let's see, next update. We have followed up very recently, I think it was a day or two ago, with Cliffs, just to check and see what the status was. They had agreed to put a stop sign at the top of the hill where they're coming off their property out onto the roadway. And so they have committed to follow up, check on the progress. That has not happened yet, but they're checking on the progress and will get back to us. So we're continuing to follow up. A few other updates. On November 16th, all 5 members of council spent 2.5 hours walking through the Cunnytown area with residents just to hear what other concerns there were, what other questions they had, and a number of things came up. So we have a list right now. Some of them are police department matters, some of them are public works matters, some of them are PennDOT matters, and we have all of them on our to-do list. Some of them we have some next steps and some action already to report. First, there was a question around the curve on Craven Street that leads from Old Elm to Fulton. And there were cars, I guess, parking in that spot. And the question was, could we stop or limit cars from parking there? I guess they're blocking traffic, they're blocking visibility. And so people asked if there was something we can do. As it turns out, Craven Street is a private street. But regardless, our fire marshal and highway sergeant, they met, they took a look. They said we have the authority to designate a fire lane for safety purposes, and so going forward, the street will be marked as such, as a fire lane, so we can keep people from parking in that space. There were also questions about speed bumps on Fulton Street, and I would say, refer to the conversation we just had, which is we will look holistically at the topic of speed bumps, speed humps, speed slots, where they make sense, for what reasons, and have again, an established set of criteria. Under the topic of PennDOT-related matters, there was a question about whether or not we could put a sidewalk along the north side of Elm Street from where roughly from the Blue Route overpass to where there's private parking spaces. And again, just confirming, that space is a combination of PennDOT property and private property. And the township cannot use tax dollars to enhance property that is not our own. So if it's PennDOT property or private property, we cannot put a sidewalk in that space. There was also a request at the same time around the potential for a mid-block crosswalk, which is roughly crossing from the end of those parking spaces to where we've talked about the guardrail being. And at this point, we did reach out to our contact, to a source at PennDOT, and the current design manual does not allow for a mid-block crossing. So at this point, it does not appear that a crosswalk is a viable option in that space. Updates. There were some miscellaneous items. There were some questions asked when we did our walkabout. Someone had asked whether the township had exercised eminent domain of the property behind Allenwood Park and I guess a place known as the Candyman House for the purpose of widening Fulton Street, and the answer is we did not exercise eminent domain. There was also a question, many residents were very eager to know when Allenwood Park would or could be updated, seeing as it's a well-used park. And the answer is the playground equipment, the current playground equipment was added in 2022. So it's actually one of our more recently renovated parks. There is a 5-year plan that has $10,000 allocated for basketball court color coding at Allenwood Park in 2026. All of the updates since we met last. Those will all be published as we have been publishing them on our website, so that if someone's not here, wants to see the same thing, or if anyone who is here wants reference of what we just said, those will all be published under Coneytown Updates, front page of our website.
Thank you, Ms. Vicio. At this time, we will open the floor to audience participation, and as always, please approach the microphone, give your name, and whether you live in Plymouth Township or somewhere else. Is there any public comment?
Hi, I'm Artis Lukens, Plymouth Township, Coneytown. And I just wanted to remind council that we did have 2 accidents on Conshohocken Road in December and January so far. One was a T-bone right at Light and Conshohocken Road, and the other one was, I think, 2 weeks ago, a week ago, where a gentleman went off the road, hit a telephone pole, and that was a situation, closed down the road for a while. So just, I just want to bring that to your attention. The speeding is still, especially after dark, is significant. And this is not going to stop unless we get some sort of traffic control down there that will consistently stop the traffic, because the police can't be down there all the time. And I know this is a problem everywhere, but we have children on the road. We have people walking their dogs on this road. You told us we can't have a sidewalk. We don't know what to do, So, but we have had 2 accidents so far.
Well, if you'll recall, we had approached PennDOT about getting a stop sign or traffic light at the intersection of Light Road and Elm, and they said no. But we were able to do the crosswalk, which will have pedestrian-operated flashing lights. It is a school bus stop, we're aware of that, so at least for pedestrians, when they're out there, they can operate that. The more recent accident that happened was by a neighbor who lives a few doors down from where the accident happened, and the police have a report on that. I don't know what's public or not, Chief. I don't want to say anything, but it's someone in the neighborhood who I don't believe was speeding, but I can't say definitively.
No, but if somebody had been on that, if somebody had been walking on that sidewalk, he could have hit him. I'm just saying, we need, in order for someone to get to that crosswalk, somebody that's coming from the other part of Coneytown,
in order for them to get to that crosswalk, they need safe passage. They don't have that right now. And that's our concern, is that we don't, if you're in the part of Cunnytown that's on the other side of the Blue Route, there is no safe passage, and you know this, from where they are down to that, where that crosswalk is going to be, so they can cross and go down to the bike trail or wherever it might be that they want to go, or to Conshohocken or wherever it might be. And there's people down there. There's, there's children. There's people that want to use that part of the road. And unfortunately, it's just not safe, as you all have said. So, we're still at an impasse on that one.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else have comments tonight on any matters?
Hello, Anthony Lisi. Lynn, I didn't hear you say anything about the adoption of Elm Street. I know that PennDOT will allow townships to adopt the streets, and that money that is used to maintain the streets from the state would go to the township to maintain it, and they would have more control over what is done on that street. I just want to throw that out there and ask that we look into that as a possible option and just see if it's feasible. Because I think that's the biggest impasse we have right now, is the fact that PennDOT is telling us what can and can't be done. And I think rightly so, if it was completely controlled by Plymouth Township, I think the council and everyone else in Plymouth Township would be able to make quick and, lasting decisions to improve the safety of the street. So just ask that we look into that as an option, the street adoption.
I won't speak for the entire council because we haven't discussed it. But I think we should keep an open mind. That's something we can look at. I think there's probably a lot of things to consider with that decision, but to your request, I think we should look and see what that entails.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
I'm sorry, can I add one thing? We did briefly discuss looking into the adoption of the road, and from what I understand, it sounds like even if we adopt the road, we still need PennDOT's approval for signals and road signs.
Mm-hmm. Could we just get that formally figure that
Well,
out?
right.
Yeah.
No. I'm not saying let's not look into it, but I want to make you aware that we're thinking that still might be the case.
Right, yep.
Again, worth looking into, but
Yep.
we still might be at,
Understood.
their mercy.
Yeah, understood. I know it's not like a silver bullet or
Yeah.
anything, but it could potentially be
Yeah.
a step in the right direction.
Maybe we should look. But to that point, I mean, there are county roads, for example, that it's owned by the county, but they still have to have PennDOT's approval before they do certain things.
Right.
So to that point, it may or may not solve it, but there's no reason we shouldn't look and have an answer to that question.
Yeah. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments from anybody who's here tonight? Okay, hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.